light has weight, an honest question, a great mistake. Cause now I feel the ultraviolet losing in to suffocate. Does it take long and does it hurt to close your eyes and leave this earth? Will I fall prey to false alarms until I'm crushed into the dirt? Feel it's coming on again. The world is coming to an end. I feel the overflow. Needles in the lead, and I'm sure something's gonna blow. I'm not prepared for this, so tell me, is there more than fleeting hope? Would you miss me, mom and dad? Please someone take me home. Take me home. Step outside, I breathe the air. I feel the wind blow through my hair. I feel the ground begin to tremble in my mind and everywhere. I look so hard just to find a simple place to stand in time, to stretch my arms, to feel alive before I'm flattened under light. It's hopeless. I feel the overflow. Needles in the lead, and I'm sure something's gonna blow. I'm not prepared for this, so tell me, is there more than fleeting hope? Would you miss me, mom and dad? Please someone take me home. Take me home. Take me home. Someone asked if light has weight, an honest question, a great mistake. 'Cause now I feel the ultraviolet closing in. Someone asked if light has weight, an honest question, a great mistake. 'Cause now I feel the ultraviolet losing in to suffocate. Does it take long and does it hurt to close your eyes and leave this earth? Will I fall prey to false alarms until I'm crushed into the dirt? Feel it's coming on again. The world is coming to an end. I feel the overflow. Needles in the lead, and I'm sure something's gonna blow. I'm not prepared for this, so tell me, is there more than fleeting hope? Would you miss me, mom and dad? Please someone take me home. Take me home. Step outside, I breathe the air. I feel the wind.
Alrighty, what is up, everybody? Let's see if I can get the music going proper. Yes. Yes. Alrighty, welcome to the stream,
Tiff Tiff B
everybody. Hope you're having a
said
good
hello.
day. Tifa, welcome in.
Where the planet collapses.
How you doing? Oh, I got an error message. What is happening?
Swift Simeon
Oh,
said hiya. Tiff Tiff B said in music, why you no work?
is it not working? It's telling me that OBS has crashed, but it looks like it's still going. Hold on. Okay. Are we back? Oh god, I hope we're back. So OBS crashed. Literally. I mean, okay. Are we good? I don't... Literally, as soon as I swap scenes and try to get the music going...
Said OBS, go home. You're drunk.
Honestly. So it straight up crashed. So it was like, oh yeah, it crashed, but we're still going. And then as soon as I clicked the button, it was like, yeah, no, it's
Simon
dead.
Oma.
And I'm like, dude,
Said
what?
seems good. Good job, OBS.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. I'm annoyed. Okay, well... So it absolutely killed my recording. It killed everything. So who knows how that's gonna work out when I upload this later. Good thing we didn't miss too much. I mean, to be fair, all we really missed was the start screen. So, yay, I guess? Okay, well, looks like we're fine. Looks like we're stable again. I don't know what the hell happened. But whatever, sure thing, OBS. Make me panic, why don't you? Anyway, welcome in. Hope you're all doing okay. Is the music too quiet? Because it's the same volume as usual. It's not supposed to be super loud or anything. But... I mean, I can turn it up slightly. Definitely...
Said I can hear it.
Okay, I mean, is it too quiet though? That's what I'm wondering. Because I know you can hear it. I can see it on the thing. But you didn't hear it when I first started the thing because it was paused, and then I had to unpause it because I wanted it to start at the beginning of the song, which didn't work anyway because OBS is an asshole. But what do I know? I don't know. I don't know. This is a good song. We'll be hearing this again anyway, but you know. Sorry, that threw me off my game, like pretty much completely.
Said it sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. It should be fine. There are parts in the songs in the music that are quieter, especially in the beginning bits, but those usually only last a couple seconds, so it's not a big deal. Okay. Wow, I really got thrown off. I am so sorry, everybody. Wowee. Okay. Spotify, I need you to cooperate with me. Thank you. Hang on.
Simon Oma. Said happy almost birthday to Tifa.
Indeed. It's almost everybody's birthday. Really, if you think about it. Tifa's is coming up, yours is coming up, mine's coming up. Like, pretty sure a few other people are coming up. Armageddon Times is coming up. I remember that. Lots of birthdays at around this time of year, apparently.
Simon Oma. Said Tifa's is tomorrow.
Got
Swift
you.
Simeon. Said it was mine last week.
Oh, shit. Well, happy belated birthday. Also, welcome in, Swift. How you doing today? I'm really bad at remembering birthdays, because, like, when I remember them, I try to put, like, announcements in Discord and stuff, but...
Happy birthday, Tifa.
Heck yeah! Heck yeah! Oh man, it's gonna be your birthday during D&D? That's the coolest thing ever! I love that. Birthday D&D is best D&D.
Tip said thanks, guys. So many birthdays. And
Heck
funny
yeah.
ILY enough, Ichigo Kurosaki from Bleach has his birthday 2 days before me.
Oh shit! So that was like, what, yesterday? That's wild. That's actually wild. That is actually bananas. Okay. So... here's the
Simon
thing.
Oma. Said that would be yesterday, yeah.
Cool. I can math. I can count. So here's my thing for today, right? I don't know if y'all saw my announcement yesterday on Discord. I posted a little thing that had a little teaser for a sort of podcast that I'm thinking about starting. And by thinking about, I mean actively working toward this time. And the post had like basically no information about it, kind of intentionally. But it's gonna be a whole thing, and I want to spend today, mainly because I don't feel like playing Pokemon today, coming up with like topic ideas.
Said Minnie is being sneaky, hee hee.
I'm being sneaky, a little, well, kinda. So, so the whole deal with it is back in the day, right?
Simonoma. Said you've been busy.
I've been a little busy. I also need to get around to working on Danganronpa, and that's gonna be tonight's problem. So that is gonna be after dinner Minnie's problem. So that's gonna be a whole thing. But okay, so this podcast, right? Back in the day, on my old channel, I had a little thing, a little series on there called the Minicast. And it was basically a sort of podcast type thing where I would sort of talk about whatever was on my mind for like 10 or 15 minutes. I'm basically planning on doing that again, but I have a theme this time. So, I don't know if y'all remember the video I put out a few months back about the Troll Skull Manor that I built in Minecraft. And how that was based on stuff going on in one of my D&D campaigns that Simon and Tifa are both in, actually. I consulted the group, and they have allowed me to use that as the set and theme for the podcast. So, we named the place, we finally gave the place a name, first of all, because when I first built it, it didn't really have a name. But now it does. So it is known as the Misfits Haven. And yes, our team in Mystery Dungeon references that as well. So yeah, it's it's not going to be a D&D or a Minecraft podcast. That's just going to be the theme, like the aesthetic of it, right?
Tip
So-
beat. Said woo. Misfits for the win.
Heck yeah. So look, because like I've always wanted to kind of embrace the more, fantasy-esque vibe of my VTuber and stuff, and I don't know, D&D is pretty damn fantasy if you ask me. But so the Misfits Haven is just basically gonna be our little place to talk about things for a while. I do plan on having guests every now and then to visit the tavern and hang out and stuff. But I figured today we could brainstorm a list of things that I could talk about in the podcast. And we could talk about anything from like, I don't know. My first one was intended to be kind of a, what is this? Why are we here? What is going on? What is this place? So, and that might be like a little bit about the tavern itself and the campaign and things like that, which I know I've talked about before, but like, might as well have it in one sort of solid space, if that makes sense. And then, one of my other thoughts was like, because the last time I tried to do a chat stream, it was intended to be, here's my little history as a content creator and stuff like that. But maybe I can make that into a Misfits Haven episode, So it could be anything from that to like, I don't know, my plushie collection. I don't know. So I figured I'd open it up to you guys and see what you guys have. What would you like to hear about from me, I guess? I'm only really planning on doing this like once a month type of thing, so because partly because once again I'm working on a bunch of other things, including Danganronpa, and I don't want to overwhelm myself. I don't have the energy to do 7 videos a week like I used to. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding about that. I did daily uploads for several months. And I'm talking 40-minute plus videos.
Simon Oma said all I can think of at the moment is anime conventions lol.
Well, I mean, I get that, because the hype is real, for sure. But I mean, it's kind of just like, what would you like, you know, if you were to listen to a podcast, what would it be about? You know?
Tif said Simon's on his own hype train, hee hee.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that. I totally feel that 100%, and I respect that. Part of me's like, damn it, I should have waited on that Anime North video, because then I could have made it part of this.
Might I Cartana
You know.
said hey friendo, luckily
Yo!
for me, my power flickered briefly earlier today.
Oh no!
Yet, we got a crap ton of rain too. No flooding thank god. However, some parts of the GTA is experiencing flooding as we speak. As well as power outages also.
It's intense. Yeah, what's up, Deb? Just a note of safety, probably don't hint at your location online like that. Just for safety reasons. But other than that, I mean, we had a bit of thunder this morning and stuff, and a good chunk of rain. I haven't seen any flooding. We keep getting flood warnings, but, you know. Oh, right, speech chat is broken with long messages. Damn it, okay. Maybe anime could be a subject for an episode.
Said maybe anime could be a subject for... Said oh crap, sorry. Oops.
You're good, you're good. I'm saying that for your safety, not mine. Just something to keep in mind, you know? Maybe anime could be a separate subject for an episode, like characters you relate to, or anime series that are dear to us. Yeah,
Swift Simeon
that could absolutely
said it
be a
means
thing.
nothing to me, I just think you live in Los Santos now.
You know what? We'll keep it like that. I know not everybody knows what that is or exactly what that means, and that's partly why I'm saying that, so that it doesn't get more specific than that. Because, like, if you do know what it means, that's pretty specific. It narrows it down a lot. So... Some people don't mind doing that, and if you're okay with it, if you're willing to take that risk, it's your call. I'm just saying, safety first, you know what I mean? Okay. I need to write stuff down. Okay. Hold on. Oh, is Spotify actually... Nope, it's not. Why does it keep doing that?
Tif said insert the more you know here.
Indeed. It takes so long to, like, update. Why? Okay, whatever, it's working. Okay. It's working, I'm not gonna complain about it. Sorry, I'm trying to, like, type on my phone at the same time.
Might I Cartana said so yeah, what has everyone been up to? Simon Oma said there could be a Bleach episode when we finally finish it.
I mean, maybe. I don't want to specifically dedicate this to anime, but... Because, like, I feel like there's tons of stuff we could talk about. Because otherwise, if we just leave it super general, it's going to go on forever. You know? But yeah, Deb, we ain't doing a ton. We're just hanging out.
Simon Oma
I'm thinking about...
said I went to an anime convention other the weekend dab.
Yeah. Simon went to another anime con. He was in some awesome cosplay, and it kicked some butt. He dressed up as Nagito from Danganronpa. And that was really cool to see, actually. But yeah, we've been hanging out. Right now, we're brainstorming topics for basically Minicast 2.0. I'm not calling it that, but that's essentially what it is.
Simon Oma said, "Yep, it turned out great."
I'm really happy that it did, Simon. Because, like, if I was there, I would have absolutely gone with you. Okay, I'm trying to...
Swift Simeon said, "Rocks, everyone loves rocks."
Everyone loves rocks. So, a crystal
Simon
episode?
Oma said, "For sure I would have invited you." Maitai Kartana said, "Right, I saw that on Discord yesterday. Something along that line anyway." Swift Simeon
Yeah.
said, "Pet Rock didn't become a sensation by mistake."
Pet rock.
said, "It's Simon Oma to that I just have to say, fight me."
No, but should we do a crystal episode? I should do... Nuts! Okay, I have an idea. Specifically one about, I guess, my discovery of them? Quote-unquote discovery.
Where the planet collapses, falls in on itself as we plummet through the vacuum of space. And sometimes we die.
Because I don't know much about rocks, to be fair.
Motion careening towards some cataclysmic fate. Well, it's not so much a dream, more a state of constant reflection.
I can't spell.
There was something I'd eventually wake up from, and it really messes me up. So here's my pathetic
I cannot spell. Okay. So we've got a couple things so far. In fairness, I'm not expecting, like, a full, like, constant stream
Simon
of
Oma
consciousness with this.
said, "I like podcasts talking about video games being played or thoughts on them."
Okay, yeah, but, like... What about them, though, is kind of what I'm trying to get at, you know? Because... like, that's really general, and that can be fine. It's just, I'm trying to keep them short. Also plentiful. So, like, you know. Because, like, inevitably... we're gonna have an accessibility episode. Like, accessibility in games and stuff. Maybe some stories from back in the day about dealing with blindness. Because, like, that's one of the big things about my channel, right? Is that I'm gonna be honest, and this is not me giving anyone shit. I just want to be clear on that. One of the biggest things that I want to be able to talk about more often is accessibility and is, you know, stuff relating to, like, blindness and things like that. But, like, I never know what people want to know, and, like, I guess nobody knows what to ask. So, like, I don't know how to, like, proceed. You know what I mean? And, like, that's really frustrating, because that's really one thing that I want to focus on. Not the only thing, obviously. But, you know, I also don't want to just deliver random information. I want to be able to deliver something that, you know, somebody actually wants to know about, you know? But I don't know what that is, and... I mean, I've asked before, and I don't know. Maybe it's just because I end up putting people on the spot by accident or something. But, like, you know, I want to talk about it more, and then it always just ends up getting derailed to something else entirely. And I'm not always against that, but also like I'm very much like words. It's something I want to be able to talk about more, but like I don't know how to proceed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's like I don't know if it's just that nobody knows what to ask, or if anyone doesn't want to know or whatever. I don't know. And I know that dude, what the hell? Spotify's being such... Okay. Is this... Oh, no, it's right. Okay. Alright, we're good. We're good. Sorry, Spotify's throwing me off today. So yeah, like, what is it about video games that you'd want to hear about, you know? What is it about anything that you'd want to hear about? Because, like,
Swift
that,
Simeon
you know...
said, I want to improve accessibility where I work. What key features do you find most useful on websites?
Well, it depends on the website. It mainly depends on how it's actually coded. I know there are guidelines out there, I don't know exactly where, that, you know, that talk about what sort of formats work best with screen readers and stuff like that. So, like, that's definitely a thing that should be focused on more. I don't know exactly where to find that info. I do know it's a thing. I have stories about that, actually, that I'll save for a video, I guess. Okay.
Swift Simeon said, we have guidelines, but sadly it's often an afterthought.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating part, is accessibility shouldn't be an afterthought. You know? Like, if you're gonna make a platform accessible, that should be part of the design process. It shouldn't be like, oh, we'll just patch it in later. Because then you put a whole bunch of band-aid solutions on something that, like, breaks other things or whatever. And then when you update the one thing, you gotta update the band-aid. And then that's just a pain in the ass for everybody, including the programmers. Probably especially the programmers, but especially the people that require these things that are now screwed over because they don't work. So that's a little rant on my end. There are companies out there, and I know this because my brother works for one of them, that actively hire people to test out certain services and stuff for their accessibility, and they will give that company feedback on what needs improving and stuff like that. I forget the one that my brother's a part of, but that is definitely a thing to look into, because then you can get direct feedback from people that use these tools that, you know, need to actually work with your site or whatever it is, or app or something, you know? I'll have to look into it so that, you know, when I actually deliver that episode, I can actually say something that's productive. You know? Yep, there's that ad break that should be coming up soon. But yeah, sorry, I cannot recall the name of the thing at the moment.
Swift Simeon said okay, thanks, I'll try and look into local services.
Yeah, it's something that could work out really well, because like I know because the way it works with my brother is that it's sort of like people in a certain area will get notifications going like, hey, this service is looking for feedback on this thing, right? And there's a crowd of people that work for the company that basically, it's sort of like a bid where they got to grab each thing as it comes out, kind of thing. And then basically they use the app or website for a while and then give feedback on what works and what doesn't and what needs clarifying, or, you know, stuff like that. And a lot of companies will ask specifically like, oh, hey, we need somebody with a screen reader to check this out, or how does this work with a magnifier, or, you know, stuff like that. Something definitely to look into, because I don't know how common they are in the
Ultra Dolphin
States,
64
but it's definitely a
said,
thing.
I know you just spent some time talking about how retrofitting can really suck, but what about making older games accessible? There's a lot out there that people want to play.
That's true. I'm not trying to say that like retrofitting is always bad, because it can work. There are plenty of situations where it can work, but I do think, so this is awkward to do during an ad break, but so there's a time and place for everything, right? I think that if you're designing a website or an app or something like that, I think retrofitting is a bad idea, right? But of course, there are things now that weren't accessible back in the day that you can't just, like, you know, like, you're not going to be able to rebuild, say, Ocarina of Time and make it accessible without completely rebuilding the game, right? So people mod stuff. Because really, if you think about it, the Minecraft Access mods, if that's not retrofitting, I don't know what is. Stardew Valley, same sort of deal. Like, there's accessibility mods for that, made by the same people as Minecraft Access, actually. You know? So yeah, there are ways to make it work. But you can't, again, even then, you can't just slap something on. You have to really you really have to keep in mind, like, how it's going to work. You know? Because it's one thing to just slap TTS on something and call it a day. Sometimes that can work, but, you know, sometimes you need a little bit more consideration on how it actually works with what's already in place and how, you know? But I don't have a lot of knowledge on programming and stuff. I just know how it affects me in my daily life. I don't know how to fix it, unfortunately. I just know that it needs to be. And I know in some cases what needs to be, but how is a different story, unfortunately. So that's a whole thing.
Swift Simeon said the website is fairly new, I'd hope it already works well, but I would want external feedback. I'm not a code monkey, I just get to suggest things.
That's fair. And I think, yeah, I mean, it highly depends again on like how it was coded and whether or not it relies on images over text. Because like a lot of times screen readers are not good with images, right?
Ultra Dolphin 64 said the problem with many older games is that modding can be difficult until certain breakthroughs are made.
That's true. That's true. I'm not saying that there aren't limitations and stuff like that, because there absolutely are, but yeah, like as far as websites are concerned, alt text probably your best friend, because it adds descriptions to images that screen readers can then read. Because if that isn't there, a lot of screen readers cannot interpret what it's looking at. And there are some cases where it won't even see it at all, and just read as blank. And that's always the worst. It's always Like, imagine this. You go to a website, you have enough sight to see that there's stuff on the screen, but your screen reader is just saying that the page is empty because it just can't interact with anything on there. And you're just like, I know there's something there, but you can't navigate and you can't click on any links, you can't do anything because it's just designed in a way that a screen reader can't interpret. I've encountered that before. Not recently. Not recently. Most of the time, most sites at worst are like halfway there. At least these days, which is better. I don't love it, but it's better. You know. But I have in the past definitely ran into sites where it's just like, you get a whole page full of text, and yet it reads as an image to the screen reader. Like, they just literally posted like a PNG with text on it rather than actually writing in the thing. And that's like, no, don't do that. Please don't do that. I remember back in the day, I would literally have textbooks in PDF form. But, so I went to the accessibility department back in college and I had them, you know, scan textbooks and give them to me in PDF so I could magnify them or whatever. I was supposed to be able to use my screener with them too, but what they had done was they scanned it as an image and didn't do any like text recognition on it. So when I received the PDF, it was literally just pictures. I couldn't read it with my screen reader. So I literally had to go and take those images to somebody else who basically rescanned them and then did whatever they had to do to actually make it accessible. And like, it blew my mind that the accessibility department screwed that up, because I'm like, why would that not be the default thing that you do, regardless of whether or not the person is blind? Like, why is that? I don't understand. Because from what I've been told, I've never actually tried it myself. From what I've been told, it's not that hard to do. Maybe? I say this as someone who has no idea how to actually do it, though. But I mean, the person that fixed mine took him like 30 minutes to fix it, so I don't know. It took him a whole 30 minutes to fix like 5 textbooks. So, you know, excuse me. That's a story for another day, I guess. But yeah, Ultra, to go back to your comment. Sorry. Problem with... Yeah, mods can be difficult unless certain breakthroughs are made. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. And the whole thing with that is, even if we take accessibility out of modding, it's a process, right? You gotta crack the code, so to speak. And that's gonna take some time. As frustrating as it is, I know that accessibility takes time. Because it sucks to run into something and be like, I can't use this yet. I can't do this thing yet. It would be awesome if things were accessible from the get-go. But I know it doesn't always work that way. You know? So, unfortunately, there's a little bit of patience required. It'd be, you know,
Ultra Dolphin 64
it'd be ideal.
said, I guess another question that you'd need to maybe do some polling on is what kind of games are blind people most interested in generally? Encouraging development everywhere is ideal, but where should we focus efforts?
I suppose that's a fair question.
Where the planet collapses, falls in on itself as we plummet through the vacuum of space.
Okay, Spotify's being really weird. It doesn't refresh until I move to a different window. I don't know what is up with that. I don't even know if I need this on screen, though, to be honest. I'm not... It's fine. Sorry, getting sidetracked. um, what was I gonna say? I know that a lot of blind people tend to gravitate to like fighting games and stuff because those tend to be sort of accidentally accessible. And I think a lot of the time, like, it's hard to say what people would be interested in if they weren't able to play it in the first place. You know what I mean? You know, because I know that there's a lot that would love more accessibility in, say, RPGs. I think a lot of RPGs, especially top-down ones, those would be the easiest. Because a lot of times that would be just narrating menus, maybe adding some more sound effects to denote where you're actually walking, and stuff like that. In theory, I feel like that would be the easiest to do. I could be wrong. You know? Because I know that at least back in the day, there were a ton of blind Pokemon fans.
Said I know Microsoft put a lot of effort into making Forza Motorsport accessible, but I don't know good it actually is.
Yeah, I've not played Forza. I don't have a huge interest in racing games. Says the bitch that does Minecraft every month, or Mario Kart every month. I need to get back into Minecraft though, honestly. But I have like very little interest in most racers, so I can't really testify to that, unfortunately. But I have heard they have been making efforts, which is good. Like, I think that's great. And like, sometimes accessibility can be as simple as giving me other options for text boxes and stuff instead of just having the fucking see-through text. Why is see-through text a thing? Why is that ever a choice that someone makes? I don't understand. Like, why would you not put a background on text? Baldur's Gate 3, I'm looking at you.
Said in line with that, what are the current limits for accessibility? What genres are more difficult to make accessible? Are some games too inherently visual, or is there a way to bridge the larger gaps?
I think that in some cases, yeah, there's like 3D platformers, you know, I feel like would be among the hardest because you're trying to communicate a 3D space in pure audio in a headset that's typically just stereo. Your strength in that would definitely be sound design. That would probably be your biggest asset for a game like that. I know that Tumu has been working on a game, and they've been trying to focus on accessibility and stuff like that. And one of the things I told them was to focus on sound design, not necessarily above anything else, but definitely make it a priority. Because you're not always going to want a voice telling you, oh, hey, this is where something is. That can be helpful. I think it highly depends on context, though. What is it that you're trying to communicate?
Ultra Dolphin 64.
And what is the best way to communicate it?
I don't know why more text-based stuff isn't made to work with screen readers as often, TBH.
Honestly, right? We have the technology to make it happen. We really do. Yeah, see, I'm not even swapping to Spotify when I switch I don't understand. Why? I'm very confused by this. Anyway, sorry. I have to figure out a better solution for this, apparently. Spotify is not... Like, what is going on with that? I need to mess around with it. Anyway. Because, like, I feel like it's really easy for me to say, doing this specific thing doesn't work. But I think anything can, depending on the context. You know? I think it's highly I don't know. What is it that you're trying to communicate? Who are you trying to communicate it to? and what is the best way to do that, you know? Because if you're trying to make a game accessible to the deaf, you're not going to really rely on sound for the most part, I feel like. You know? But then obviously if you're doing deaf and blind accessibility, you're going to focus on visuals and audio, because the two things are necessary. I forget what game it was, but there was a shooter at one point that actually had deaf accessibility incorporated into it. I forget what it was called. I saw it one time in passing on TikTok, and somebody mentioned it. And, like, it basically just added some extra effects on screen that, like, denoted where things were. Or, like, where certain sounds were coming from. And I'm like, that's a cool idea. And, like, it wasn't, like, a super intrusive thing, from what I saw. One thing I will say is that probably one of my favorite games for accessibility, as much as it's by no means a perfect game, is Lost and Hound. Because it was designed with making it playable to everyone in mind. So, like, you can play it if you're deaf, you can play it if you're blind, you can play it if you're just, like, you know, totally sighted or whatever. And, like, you know, there's narration, there's nice little effects. I think the graphics are simple enough that they don't stress out vision too much. The only exception probably being the snow level, just because it's, like, basically pure white, and that hurts to look at. Because anything that's pure white hurts to look at, let's be real. So sometimes it depends on the color choices. I mean, also, colorblind accessibility is a thing. So, I will say, fully acknowledge, accessibility is fucking hard. There are so many different things to account for, and I understand, like, I'm sad about it, but I completely understand why, people can't account for everything all of the time. I get it. I really, really get it. There's, you know, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Just because everybody's needs are so different. So, I get
Ultra Dolphin 64
why it's not as far along as it is.
said, I've also
be.
noticed that some accessible games, specially made ones, can tend toward just following directions in sequence. I don't want to say that these can't have a place, but I can't help but feel that it isn't as ideal as doing better sound design and aids.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Oh, shit. Why can I not? Hang on. Here we go. But yeah, I have seen that too, where it's like going from point A to point B, which, to be fair, Lost and Hound is like that. It's very much a follow this trail and go to the thing. But that is the premise of the game, in all fairness. Like, that is literally the game. But yeah, there are things like, you know, The Last of Us, Part 1 and Part 2, because the PS5 version of Part 1 was made accessible based on what was done in the original version of Part 2, kind of thing. Where it's less of a point A, point B, but, like, you know, points are highlighted so that you know, say, where to shoot, or what to, you know. And I did see one time from my brother playing Last of Us, is that, like, there are certain things in the game that they weren't really able to make accessible, so they give you the option to be able to skip it, because they're like, well, most of those things are, like, minor puzzles anyway, so they're like, okay, you know, rather than forcing you to do something you cannot physically do, we're just gonna let you get past it because we weren't able to make it happen. So that's on us, not on you, type of thing. And most of them are just like really small things where you're not really missing that much. But like otherwise, it's fully playable. And I feel like, you know, I feel like some of those may have been fixed. I don't actually know. But yeah, I think the method that you use to make something accessible is highly dependent on what it is you're actually doing. Because, you know, the point A, point B thing can be helpful in games that, you know, have that type of thing. You're not going to want to make everything a point A, point B, but if your game already has that kind of thing going on, then sure, go for it. You know? You know what Lost and Hound reminds me of? It reminds me of Twilight Princess a little bit, because, so, there's this point in Twilight Princess, actually many points, where you can, you know, have Link turn into the wolf and use the senses to follow scent trails. And it shows up in Twilight Princess as like a visual trail of a particular color to denote a specific scent. Lost and Hound, you're basically doing that, but in audio form, and it's really cool to me. I don't know. It just makes me think of that. Where it's really easy to do in Twilight Princess because you're literally following a path.
Said just going with your points before of just following a virtual narrator's directions. Lost and Hound is more linear, but you're still navigating yourself and not just following press this button and then this commands, which is what I meant.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's entirely fair. Like, I think doing it that way is fine for like tutorials or whatever, because I mean, let's be real, even outside of specific accessibility things, a lot of tutorials will do that. They'll just be like, press this button to do this thing. You know? So it's like, maybe don't turn your game into a giant tutorial that's, you know, gonna just guide you through the entire thing. Because at that point, you're not even playing a game, you're literally just hitting inputs, and that's it. You're not really engaging with it beyond that. Which is unfortunate. And I think that, I mean, if somebody's fine with it, then, I mean, I guess there's no reason it shouldn't be a thing. You gotta start somewhere, I guess, but I don't think that's an ideal way to do it. Because you're right, Lost and Hound, you're still, like, it's giving you the trail to follow, but it's up to you to find that trail and stick to it, you know? You still have to put effort into thinking about, I'm hearing all these sounds, what means what, how do I interpret this, which direction do I go, and stuff. You know, that's a lot harder to do when you can't see the scent trail like you can in Twilight Princess. It's like, you know, it's like following that string, but that string is, it's like following a string, but you can't feel the string, it's completely intangible. And you also can't see the string, but you can hear the string. It's making a sound somehow. You know? It's a difficult balance to strike.
Said the scent thing is really cool though and could be referenced for other stuff.
Sure.
The inputs thing is kinda more in line for rhythm games, which also need more accessibility and have potential.
Yeah, that's fair. A rhythm game, okay, one particular series that's naturally accessible, Rhythm Heaven. Rhythm Heaven. So, a friend of mine back in the day persuaded me to buy Rhythm Heaven Megamix on 3DS. And literally the tutorial encourages you to play the game with your eyes closed. It's like, listen, there are sound cues in the thing that tell you, you know, what you need to listen for and stuff. Will literally give you options to practice before you actually do the challenge. Every time.
Swift
You can
Simeon
choose to skip it.
said, have you ever played Patapon? Pon Patapon.
I've heard of it. I've never played it, but I've heard of it. But yeah, Rhythm Heaven specifically is like, actively says, hey, close your eyes. Play it with your eyes closed. And you can play it perfectly fine. 100% with your eyes closed. And all they did was place an emphasis on sound design, which makes sense because of the fucking rhythm game. If that game don't sound good, what's the point? You know? The one thing that could be added to Rhythm Heaven is accessible menus. But even then, if it can be figured out, because at least Megamix is not complicated, so, you know. It's like a whole thing.
Ultra Dolphin 64 said now for games where the traveling in overworld is not the main gameplay focus, more explicit directions could still be a decent method to hold the game together from a blind accessibility perspective.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like you can... I feel like in some games, you can set, like... You can set objectives to follow. The first thing that... This is a bad example, but the first game that came to mind is, like, Genshin Impact. Or games like it, where you can go to your quests, right? And yeah, you've got your main quest, but you can also choose to highlight your side quests. So you pick one, and then, you know, a marker will appear on the minimap that says, okay,
Swift
this is the one you're
Simeon
focusing on now.
said, has the move to open world games been a nuisance?
Honestly, kinda. A little bit. Like, I don't hate open world games by any means. But, again, you're trying to communicate, if you're talking about accessibility, you're trying to communicate a 3D space purely through headphones, ideally. And that is not
Ultra
easy
Dolphin
to do.
64. Thanks for subscribing.
Oh, yo.
Ultra Dolphin 64 said sub dub dub.
Yo.
Swift Simeon
Thank you so
said,
much.
I really hope Pokemon does a new game in the retro style.
I think I would
Swift
honestly
Simeon
prefer that.
said not just a remake.
I would honestly prefer them go back to a top-down perspective. I respect Game Freak's attempts to go 3D, but let's be honest, it has not been working for them that well. Like, I don't know. I like top-down RPGs. And it would be cool to see one again, even if it's just like a side thing. I don't know.
Simon Oma said the top-down is much more accessible.
Yeah, it's a lot easier because you're only really communicating north, south, east, and west. You're not really communicating up and down
Ultra
either.
Dolphin 64 said imagine a Pokemon game in the style of Octopath Traveler could look amazing.
I've not actually played that. I've kind of been avoiding it because from what I've seen of it, like, it looks good, but it
Simon
also,
Oma
like, things blend
said
together.
indeed.
At least for me, things blend far too much to make it really practical. At least for me. But I mean, I won't deny that it could be cool to see. It's not, I don't know that it's something that I would particularly, play, but just mainly because that type of art style everything blends too much. Which sucks. It really sucks, because I do want to play it. I've heard Octopath is good.
Ultra Dolphin 64 said it's basically SNES art with fancy shading. Pokemon's take could be more colorful and contrasty.
Yeah, that's fair.
Simon Oma said Pokemon needs to add text options or voice acting and get out of the dark ages.
You're not wrong. I have mixed opinions about Pokemon needing voice acting.
Tiff Tiffy
I have
said
mixed
too
opinions
true.
on it. I have mixed opinions because, like, I don't know if it's necessary. You know?
Swift Simeon said I'm happy to not have voice acting in Pokemon.
So, on one hand, voice acting would go a long way in helping with accessibility. Because, you know, it's a lot easier on those that have trouble reading. I'm considering we're talking about Pokemon, I'd be concerned about the quality. You know, better text options, definitely necessary. Because let's be real, we've had that white text box since the very beginning. The only thing that's changed about it is it's gotten rounder.
Swift Simeon said, I just want my 1 PG-13 swear word to be said by a Pokemon upon fainting. Simon Oma said if they just add white on black text it wouldn't need acting.
Yeah, I think if they could have different options, right? They could have different text boxes. So one game that I was surprised that did customizable text boxes, fucking Golden Sun. Does anybody remember Golden Sun? RPG on the GBA from like way back in the day, right? It's on Nintendo Switch Online if you want to give it a look.
Tiff said heard of it, never played it.
So if you go into the options in Golden Sun, you'll see like an option for text boxes.
Simon Oma
I forget what it actually
said I
says.
still need to play that.
I forget what it actually says, but you can change the background color to just about any color you want. You can set the brightness of it. And like, I don't remember if you can change font size, because the one thing I don't like about that game is the font, specifically. But you can have it be mostly transparent, you can have it be really, really bright, you can have it be really, really dark. So I changed mine to a really dark purple, and it still contrasts nicely, but it's a color that I like. It's not just straight black. You can make it black, but you don't have to. And I'm like, well, if I don't have to, I might as well pick a color that I like, you know what I mean? And you can adjust the brightness. That was back on the GBA in like the early 2000s. Why is that not like a standard? Because that is such a cool option. That is like my favorite way to do text boxes that I've ever seen in my life. The only thing I would add to it is the ability to change like fonts or even font size. Especially on like modern games, I understand why they wouldn't do font size on a Game Boy, because that thing's already tiny, and making the print bigger would sort of, you know, you'd have a hard time managing big print on such a small screen, and I get that. But like, you know, a modern game, like, you know, something on like a console or PC.
Mike Icartana said, what game are we talking about?
Talking about Golden Sun for the Game Boy Advance. Specifically how they handled text boxes and how much I fucking love it. And that's like my favorite feature in that entire game. I'm not even joking.
Swift Simeon said GBA had brightness. I thought you needed the car lights behind you for that.
No. I mean the brightness of the color in the text box. Not like screen brightness. Like light purple versus dark purple. You know? I guess the proper term for it would be saturation? I don't know. I don't know color terms.
Ultra Dolphin 64 said, another accessibility question, what about online multiplayer? Some games have concerns over people trying to cheat or grind using accessibility stuff, mostly from accessibility that practically autoplays the game, which isn't ideal for anyone.
I don't like the idea of auto-playing, basically. I don't like those. And like honestly, if you're the type of person that is going to cheat using accessibility like that, you're kind of a piece of shit. You're using something that somebody else needs, to do something shitty. And that's horrible. So, harsh take, I know. But that is genuinely how I feel about it. It's like if you're gonna go and take advantage of if you're gonna take advantage of a tool that somebody needs to function, you're kind of a terrible person. But yeah, using tools that like autoplay a game, that's not accessibility in my mind. That's more just doing it for you.
Swift Simeon
And that's not
said
I
people
don't-
will always cheat, so long as it doesn't impact other players or the economy. Do as you please.
Sure. Sure. My whole deal, so I have mixed feelings, right? Because I'm sitting there going like, you know, if you want to do whatever the fuck you want in single player, when it comes to multiplayer, right? Unless you're in a group that you know is okay with that, don't fucking do it. Because at that point, you're potentially ruining the game for somebody that's just trying to play and have a good time. And that's just really shitty. And I don't personally agree with it. It's like those one time. It's like that one time that group of people came in and
Ultra
raided my
Dolphin
Mario Kart
64
stream and started
Said
ruining
my
it for
first
everybody.
go goes to the Forza Auto Drive thing that they've used as the main blind accessibility option before actually making something involving playing the game.
Yeah. So I think it depends, right? Because Mario Kart has an auto driving thing too, weirdly enough. And I think that for some people that have, like, maybe, you know, motor function issues and stuff, that can be helpful. But also, it's kind of a gray area now that I really think about it. I'm kind of halfway going back on what I pretty much just said. I'm calling myself out here at this point. I think it really depends, right? Because, like, on one hand, depending on who you're talking about, like if that was me, I'm like, that's not really accessibility. Because in my mind, I'm not being given the tool I need to do a thing. That thing is being done for me. For somebody else, that could be the tool that they need to do the thing, right? You know, I think every option can have its place. I've heard, I don't know if this is 100% true or anything, but I've heard the sentiment online a few times where it's like, if you see something and it seems weird and potentially really useless, then it's not meant for you. And I've seen this a lot in relation to kitchen gadgets and stuff, like jar openers and stuff like that, that do a lot of the heavy lifting with twisting jar lids and things like that, and other stuff that, like, you know, hold utensils for you and things. And it's like, sure, for me, that stuff isn't necessary. It's pretty useless to me. But, you know, for somebody that has limited hand strength or hand movement or whatever, that jar opener, pretty fucking necessary. You know? So I feel like, you know, it doesn't work, it's not for me, but it's for someone else. You know. So, like, I feel like that holds true in a lot of cases. I don't know if it's universal or anything, but it makes sense to me, at least a little bit. So, like, to have that auto driving, going back to the auto steering or auto driving, whatever, it is an accessibility option. It's just, you know, maybe not an ideal one, and not one that should be marketed for everybody. So, that's kind of whole thing. I really need to check something. Give me a
Ultra
second.
Dolphin 64 said, in my opinion, I think this stuff is fine enough as long as it isn't too competitive by itself, so it can't be abused in competitive stuff but still be helpful to people who need it.
Sure. That's totally fair. I'm trying to... Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on with Spotify here, because it's not refreshing when I want it to. I have to like go to a completely different window to like have it change, and it shouldn't be doing that. I don't know why it is, but I don't see any option to fix that, so I don't know why it's doing that or what my solution to that could be. Kind of a... Not sure what's up with that.
Swift Simeon said, I'd love to have the option to play online against my peer group. I don't have the reaction time of a teenager anymore.
I feel that. I definitely feel that. There's a lot of times where I'll, with very few exceptions, namely Mario Kart and like Minecraft, I'll usually avoid playing online with people because I usually can't keep up, and like, you know, that always bugs me because I can't react to things quick enough because, you know, I can't see or hear them in time or whatever. So like, that's kind of one of the reasons I stopped playing Splatoon, because I'm like, I just can't keep up anymore. There's so much going on that I just cannot keep track of. And like, that sucks because I gravitated to that series because it was colorful and fun and I could actually see what was going on. But now there's so much happening that I just can't keep track of it anymore. And each entry has gotten more and more difficult as time, like, and by difficult I mean less and less accessible as time's gone on. Like, it's also gotten more difficult in that the
Ultra
challenges are
Dolphin
genuinely
64
more difficult, but
said a harder one would be the auto aim in the Minecraft access mods because it is both super helpful and can be exploited. You don't want to nerf it to the point of not being useful, but if it becomes exploited, you would turn a bunch of people against the accessibility aids.
yeah. I think a big part of that is I think a big part of that whole thing is understanding that needs to happen, which obviously easier said than done, right? Because I feel like, you know, I have to think about how I'm gonna say this, right? I think that in a lot of cases, I'm speaking ideally here, idealistically, I guess, and generalizing a little bit. So keep that in mind. I think that
Ultra Dolphin 64
people need a little bit more
said,
understanding.
I mean, you could unfortunately get a situation with more people exploiting than legitimately using due to demographics.
So here's a thought, right? Optifine has a zoom feature, right? Where you can hit a button and zoom in on an area. Makes it really easy to shoot arrows at things. I used it a lot when I was part of the Unknown Empire back in the day. And hell, I still use it, because it just makes things easier for me to see. It makes my targets easier to see. And yet, that has never been seen, at least to my knowledge,
said, say it
as a
louder for
method
the
for
people in the back. I'm not blind myself, but I wholeheartedly agree that people need to be more understanding and more compassionate. It's the 21st century, for crying out loud.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to figure out how to word everything, because I feel like I'm barely making sense to myself at this point. But yeah, like, I feel like, I need to finish my thought. Back to the Optifine thing. Me using the zoom feature to shoot arrows has never been seen as cheating.
Swift Simeon.
And that is accessible
Said
to
gotta
everyone
love
else
the
that uses
tabloids here.
Optifine.
Mother accused of disability benefit fraud because she ran a marathon, as if there's only a handful types of disability.
I'm sorry, what? Hold on. Mother accused of disability benefit fraud because she... Are they trying to insinuate that disabled people can't run? Because, sure, plenty can't, but, like, my disability has nothing to do with my fucking legs. I could run. I'm just fucking blind. What the fuck is... What? I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin with that. I genuinely, I can't with that. I think that's a testament to my point, though, because it's like a lot of people will generalize
Swift
it as
Simeon.
one thing.
Said that's the quality of journalism we get. Sad face. Tiff Tiffy. Said that makes my blood boil.
I am struggling not to scream right now. I'm really, really putting in that effort. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna disable the Spotify window, because this is driving me crazy. You can still hear the music, and the artist is credited still, so... That's my solution, apparently. I would prefer to be able to show what song is playing, but it's apparently not wanting to cooperate, so I need to figure out another solution for that. Sorry, back to our discussion. I needed that brief distraction, if I'm being completely real. You can't just... I've seen videos online of people, like, accusing disabled people of not being disabled because they've, like, stood up after being in a wheelchair. Some people that use wheelchairs can fucking stand. It's not black and white. It's not black and white. That's just like saying, oh, you're blind, you shouldn't be able to read print. It's a fucking spectrum. There are plenty of blind people that can read print. Not every blind person is totally blind. The majority of blind people have
Ultra
some
Dolphin
form of
64
usable vision. And
Said I agree that we need more understanding because of this kind of mentality. I'm worried about people applying that to this in terms of online multiplayer. We don't need more of this shit.
Again, ideally speaking, if we had more of that understanding, this would be less of an issue. If there was more understanding, we wouldn't need to ask that question. We wouldn't need to have that worry. Again, that's an ideal scenario that I'm confident will never happen. And that probably pisses me off more than anything. Sorry, that really fucking got me. That... I'm gonna have to look back at this VOD later. Because apparently I have so many more things to write down. Sorry. Holy shit. I need to like breathe for a minute. But seriously, to accuse someone of fucking fraud.
Tip Tiffy. Said abso-freaking-lutely. Heck, my mom could be classed as disabled because she's started having difficulty moving because of an old leg injury she was supposed to have fixed has gotten worse.
That sucks. My mom was in a car accident back in 2015. And she survived. She's functioning. She's around, you know. But it sort of triggered a bunch of shit, and she's never recovered from the whiplash. She will never recover from that. So she's permanently disabled because some asshole decided to run a red light. And so many people think that because it's not a visible thing, so many people think that it's not real. They're like, oh, well, you drive so much. Which, she drives far more than she should. But her condition doesn't stop her from driving, it just makes it painful. Everything is painful for her. Physically. You know? There are days where she just does not want to move because everything hurts.
Ultra Dolphin 64 said if we could get a setup and understanding similar to the Optifine status quo, it would really help for games. As for the real world, I don't understand people having such a limited and accusatory tone on disability. It's really narrow-minded.
It is. It's a really dark place
Simon Oma
to get into.
said no kidding, I've put in a lot of work. I can walk around enough again to go to conventions, but I still have fibromyalgia and feel pain when I overdo it.
Yeah, like you still have limits. You've worked to overcome some, or at least increase your tolerance or whatever. Even if it literally is just willpower. But you still have limits. And it's still real. Doesn't matter how much you can do, it's still real.
Tiftifby said it makes me so angry that people can be so ignorant and one-minded. I feel so guilty I can't do more for my mom and see how much pain she's in.
That ain't your fault though, Tifa. That ain't your fault. I know that doesn't make it suck any less, but you know, as depressing as it is, like the world ain't built for us. We just have to figure out how to live in it, but it's not built for us. And that sucks. It sucks a lot. And like, there is no one person to blame for anything.
Simon Oma
Where we're at now
said
is,
you do great, Tifa.
you know, like all you can really do is what you can. Ultimately,
Tiftifby said in all honesty, the world would be such a better place if we all just treated each other like equals and see past so-called imperfections.
honestly, right? It's like at the end of the day, we're fucking people. People should treat people like people, and we should stop being assholes to each other. You know. It should be that simple, but it isn't. It isn't because
Ultra
that's
Dolphin
unfortunately
64
not how everything works.
said I've heard my mom on occasions privately being skeptical of someone's need of disabled parking. I tell her every time that you don't know anything about them. Just because someone drives a large truck doesn't mean they can't be disabled, it means that they might like it or need it for some reason.
I have a story. And I've told it before. Back when I was at the blind school, I was in the independent living sort of dorm type thing. And every week we would pick somebody to go grocery shopping. Like we had a big schedule to follow, like all the chores were there. All the chores were on that list and stuff, so every week we'd all have our chores. Grocery shopping was on that list. One time it was my turn. So the whole deal is that we would go with a staff because they would drive us there.
Said at Ultra Dolphin 64.
And they would help us
That's
out.
rough.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I didn't read that entire message. Doesn't mean they can't be disabled. It means that they might like it or need it for some reason, that's all. Yeah, no. So, again, it was my turn, and the whole deal was a staff would come with us because they would drive us to the store and they'd help us find stuff because, like, you know, that shit's difficult. Grocery shopping is a pain in the ass. It's a doable pain in the ass, but a pain in the ass nonetheless. Anyway, we get there, and I decide that I wasn't going to take my cane with me, so I left it in the car because I'm like, we're going to be dragging around baskets, we're going to have a
Ultra
shopping
Dolphin
cart, that's
64.
just going to get in the way.
Said like I get wanting to defend people who need stuff because there are legit cases of people stealing spots that I've been pissed about, but don't make blanket assumptions.
Agreed. But yeah, when I got out the car, I didn't have my cane with me, and I go to the trunk to grab the baskets because, like, we're gonna need them, right? So staff hands me the baskets. I'm carrying them and following her. She's staying close because it was dark, so I could still see her and stuff like that. This dude gets out of his fucking car and starts, like, grumbling and muttering about, you know, people taking advantage of the government and blah blah blah, because the vans that the school would give us, like, would have, like, the Ontario logo on it and stuff. So, like, they would know this is a government vehicle, blah blah blah, right? So this dude's bitching at me, like, you know, saying that, like, I don't have a, like, you don't have a disability, blah blah blah, you're not really this, and I'm like, do you want to see my fucking, do you want to see, like, my ID that proves it? Because, like, you don't know what my deal is. You can't see anything, but my eyes, in fact, do not work properly. They barely work at all. So, like, just because you can't see anything wrong doesn't mean there isn't something going on. Yeah, and I kept calling this dude out. And this dude just kept on grumbling and walked away, like he didn't even bother facing it. Like, I shut him down immediately, going like, yeah, no, screw you, dude. And we went about our grocery trip without incident after that. But yeah, I've had instances like that where it's like, I'm just like, just because you can't see that there's something there doesn't mean there isn't something there. You don't know what the other person's situation is. Like, you have no idea. And it's like, that's partly why I've started taking my cane with me more often, even though I don't always need it, because, like, it just lets people know at this point, and I'm tired of shitty assumptions that I'm taking advantage of shit, you know? I don't like using the cane. I hate it. I genuinely despise it. Mainly because of, like, there's a stigma attached to it and stuff like that, and it's like, I don't know. So I have a few stories about why I don't like the cane, but maybe that's going back to the original purpose of this entire stream. I guess that kind of goes into stories about blindness, about why I don't like the cane. I did an episode of the minicast back in the day about why I don't like the cane. But I should probably do an updated thing, you know? So yeah, sorry. This shit gets... As much as I want to talk about this stuff more, I do admit that it is emotionally, like... It's hard emotionally to kind of get into it, you know? Sometimes. Depends on the thing. But yeah. That's kind of why this whole thing, really.
Swift Simeon said here's a real thinker, what places smell different to before?
What places smell different? I mean... I don't... real, that's not something I tend to think about very often.
Swift Simeon said there was a conversation on the radio about how corner shops don't smell the same as they used to years ago.
Interesting.
Mighty Cartana said, oh man, I remember I would tune into those on a weekly basis at the time. Man, gotta love those mini-cast episodes.
Yeah, those were fun. They were very fun. That's partly why I want to bring it back. Except I don't know if you were here at the beginning, Deb, but I was mentioning that it's going to have a little bit more of a theme to it, rather than, at least aesthetically speaking, rather than just sort of generic talking with no copyright sounds in the background. We're gonna, I don't know, it's gonna be cool. Sorry, my brain just sort of grinded to a halt there. Okay. I'm looking over my little list here. And also struggling with the way Notes formats things. Okay. Yep, there's the ads. Sorry about that.
Mighty Cartana
I got
said,
myself
I remember
very...
reading about it yesterday as well as playing the intro. Lol.
Yeah. But no, there's a little bit more of an explanation on the actual theme and stuff. But anyway, I got myself very flustered. I'm not gonna lie. I need to give myself a second. Sorry. So, I feel like I've run into a little bit of a paradox. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to talk about this stuff more often. But that also does involve me being a little bit vulnerable in a way. And that is difficult. You know? Or at least it can be. So, you know. Here we are. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to think though. Because I feel like I can dedicate a lot of time to talking about that and like talk about my experiences things. And I do want to have
Mighty
a
Cartana
few videos
said dinner
talking about
smells
stuff.
good though. Not sure what I'm having, but whatever it is, it's bound to be good.
Oh, there you go. I gotta work on dinner myself, actually. But like I said, I don't just want to talk about accessibility. I want to talk about it more, but not exclusively. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, I'm trying to think of what else we can add to our list of topics here, you know? I'm trying to get back on that before I get myself, all fucked up. More than I already am, apparently. You hold my world together. This is such a good song. This is such a good song. For those that want to know, it's called Whole. It's actually a rework of one that Jesse did in the past. And he decided to rewrite it. And it's awesome. And I'm trying to... Okay, sorry. That's something I could talk about. My sort of... quote-unquote musical journey-ish? I don't know. Let me also think. Because now I'm trying to get my brain onto, apparently my brain's going to like art and creativity and stuff. So like, how would y'all feel? Because I'm trying to get back on track here. We've kind of been all over the place for a little bit. I mean, not really all over the place ish. I feel like we're always gonna get derailed during these, but it's fine. How would y'all feel about an episode on like my setup and how I set the streams up and things like that? I don't talk about behind the scenes stuff quite a bit, but like maybe having a dedicated episode for that or something. I don't know. So I could do something like that. I could do, let me think. Like talking about the programs that I use or anything like that. Because I know there are some people that have wanted to like start streaming and stuff, but don't really know where to
Ultra
really
Dolphin
start.
64 said could be cool and helpful to some people. I know you had that one channel about content creation tips.
It still exists. Nobody's posted anything in there, but I've posted a bunch of stuff in there. So yeah, like I feel like there's a few people, because like there are a few people that have like mentioned to me a few times. They're like, I don't really know how to use OBS and stuff. I don't know that I'm the one to really give a tutorial necessarily, but I can at least point someone in the direction of where they can find better info, you know? Something along those lines or something. Or at the very least be like, these are the things that I use and this is why I use them. You know, stuff like that. Could be cool. I do still want to do that episode on my history as a YouTuber and streamer. Sorry, I'm writing. What I should have done was opened up something that I could have on screen so you could see what I'm writing. You know? But it's fine. I'm just writing them on my phone. It was just the easiest to set up, to be fair. Okay. So I got that sorted out. So, like, I feel like I have a good foundation for a few, you know? Dang it, phone, why you gotta make things difficult for me? There we go. Yeah, I've got a good few things on this list here, and I'm gonna, like, have, maybe a thing in the Discord so people can suggest more topics as time goes on, or something like that. I just feel like if I'm gonna make a series that I'm gonna share with y'all, I think it's important to talk about the things that I want to talk about, but I also want to talk about things that, like, you want to actually hear about too, you know? I wanna keep y'all in mind as this goes on, you know? At least as much as I can, anyway. I don't know how it's all gonna turn out, really, but, you know, we're here, we're trying, you know. How long have I been going for? Hour and 40 minutes. Okay. Alright. Yeah. Man. My brain. My brain is in a weird state right now. Not gonna lie. Sorry. that whole mentioning of like that someone being accused of fraud for that pisses me off. And that's kind of still in the back of my mind a little bit. Like I just I can't deal. That makes me just as mad as that story about that woman that fucking put bleach in her eyes. Just because she felt that she should be disabled. I just that's a whole other can of worms that I get really, really mad about. Don't fucking mutilate yourself to be disabled. That's not how that works. Don't do that to yourself. And like, I laugh slightly, but I'm being completely serious. Don't fucking do that to yourself. That's a real dark one. And that story's been talked about to death at this point, because that happened a good several years ago, but jeez, man. Fuck, I'm sorry. That fucking threw me off. That threw me right off. How do I want to proceed? I'm like sitting here going like, help, I don't know how to proceed. But also, that ain't fucking your responsibility. I'm the one sitting here. I'm the one that chose to be here. Oh, that's another thing I could probably talk about, is like how to recover from shit like this. The answer is I don't know. So I guess what I'm really hinting at is fucking public speaking. And how nerve-wracking that can be. Because it can be. Anxiety's a bitch. God, I fucking love this song, though. Y'all can't tell me this ain't awesome. Okay. Given the fact... Okay, so on here it says... On OBS it says that we've been live for like an hour and a half, and then here it says hour and 44 minutes. So... I guess I might just, like, string the... I'll have to do some editing a little bit, actually. Yeah. Sorry, thinking out loud. It's fine. We're all good. Here's what I'm gonna do, actually, now that I'm thinking. I feel like I'm not really sure where I want to go from here. And since we have been here for almost 2 hours... I think that we may actually call it a night pretty soon. Because again, I'm like, I don't know where to go from here. And I don't want to like sit here and continue rambling too much if I don't really know where I'm going to end up.
Said okay, no worries.
Yeah, I'm in a little bit of a flustered state, y'all, and I'm sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead, actually. And we're going to drop a Discord link in chat for anybody that happens to be new if you want to join in. I usually play some type of video game. I don't do these super often. These chat streams, I mean. But yeah, we're going to go back to... Oh, right, no, we're doing Coffee Talk on Thursday. We're going to go back to Pokemon on Friday. So that's gonna be like a whole thing. Also, before we end off today, I triggered my caps lock by accident. There it is. Okay. So
Like the music? Go check out Useless Irving.
there's the Spotify for you if y'all want to look at the music that I've been using on stream today. Show him some support. It'll make his night, I'm sure. Also, what was I gonna say? I forget what I was gonna say. Son of a bitch. Alright. That's definitely a sign for me to head out. You know what, though? I appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. You know, y'all gave me a lot to think about for the Misfits Hideaway podcast thingy. It's gonna be a good time. I'm excited for it. With any luck, the first episode will be out on my birthday. That's my hope, anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna go make some dinner, and then I'm gonna work on the next Danganronpa
Swift
video,
Simeon
which is coming out on
said
Simon's
I'm not
channel.
sure how much you'd be into it, but I came across a fun free game on Steam, The Work Cleaner. You play as janitor who is trying to resist their urges.
Their urges? Like werewolf type? I am intrigued. I will have to look that up later for sure. Sorry. Yeah, no, that is definitely something I'll have to look up, for sure. But anyway, y'all, have yourself a good rest of your night. I appreciate you. And, I will see you guys on Thursday for more coffee talk. And then, hopefully Friday, for some more Mystery Dungeon. It'll be a good time,
Tiffy
I promise.
said night. Swift Simeon said you were a werewolf. Sorry TTS wasn't the best then.
You're good. I got it. We got there. But yeah, have a good night, y'all. And I will definitely look up that game in a little bit. I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Peace!
Swift Simeon said thanks for stream. Have a good night.
You too, dude. I'll catch you later.
Ultra Dolphin 64 said bye. Thanks for stream.
Took me this long to figure out it's not the size of ego, but what you do with it. But it's a cop-out to blame this town, and it's a cliche, but watch me take this bullet and blame myself instead. This is no apology, 'cause if it was, I'd screw it up. You know I just can't.